What's up, everyone? Welcome to Around the ACL. Michelle Thompson here with Wally K9 Castler and Jake Brannon. And we are going to get into our show today. Obviously, we don't have an event coming up this weekend. We have a little break till our next signature. The next one's going to be in Mesa, Arizona. So in the meantime, we're going to go over our rankings. This is our first time having our signature rankings included with our opens. So exciting things to get into there with our singles and our doubles. Going to go over the top 10, and then we're going to look at some high or lows where we think our players are going to finish compared to where they're standing right now. All right, Wally, no cornhole. I mean, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, well, I actually have a lot of cornhole going on because I'm getting ready to head to the flyover tournament in Topeka, Kansas with Magnum Dampier. So K9 Unit will be back on the live feeds this weekend for you guys. So make sure you guys tune in for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a $20,000 added tournament, which is right here in the Midwest, which is perfect for everybody flying from either direction of the country. You can always get to the Midwest pretty easily. So I'm kind of shocked that we don't have more tournaments in the St. Louis or Kansas City area, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be cool to get back to my Kansas City people and hang out with them for a little bit and just get back to a real loose vibe. It is kind of weird. We spent the entire open season, gearing up for the signature events. And then we had the signature event, and now it's like, now we just wait. We wait for the next one, but it's kind of interesting to see how things are kind of shaking out. We'll go through the standings in a little bit, but a lot of our usual suspects and then some new names that we didn't really expect to go there. So I'm pretty excited to see what type of players show up. But I do have another huge announcement to make. I am, stepping away at the end of the season. It was not an April Fool's joke, but I am beginning today at about 1:00 my practice to become a professional golfer. I saw $4.2 million paid out for first place at the Masters last weekend. So I'm getting my golf lessons, going to figure out my approach shots. And the journey starts now. So a lot of golfing in my life.
Dude, as much as I want to laugh at that, Wally's good at everything. So I honestly can see it. That's where I'm at with him at this point. Like, it's actually
I was
crazy.
talking to Tony Smith about an hour ago, and he was like, "I'm on the golf course right now," and he's trying to help me out with some pointers. And he says that he's actually better playing cornhole whenever he golfs in the morning. So he says his new routine now is he doesn't practice. He just goes plays golf, and then he comes out and wins cornhole tournaments. And I said, you might be onto something there because I went golfing the other day, got first place. Went golfing the next day, got one last man standing, and then won first place. So, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm nice and relaxed, but it was working for me. I was, hitting the irons and then throwing the bags in the hole. So
It makes a
Tony's
lot
on
of sense. Yeah, because like for one, you have to be accurate, so you've got that going for you. But then also you're outside in nature and it's peaceful.
something.
And I bet you there's a lot there. I think we might be onto something, Tony. You gave a secret away to everybody though,
Yeah.
so good job on that. All right, Jake, how about you? You getting into cornhole or
Uh,
taking a little break?
well, I can't say it's as exciting as what Wally's got going on right now. My main focus these next couple of weeks is to stay inside as long as possible, as much as possible. I talk up and talk about how much I love the state of Maryland every chance I get. The one thing I do not like about it, and I've looked at studies, it says is that Maryland produces the most pollen in any other state in the entire United States. So when I tell you that it's the second I step outside, I am just awful, feeling terrible. Nose, ears, throat, eyes, everything sucks. So I am trying to stay inside for these next couple of weeks as much as I possibly can. Now, that being said, I am going golfing on Wednesday, tomorrow as well. So hopefully I can, Wally and Tony Smith can be rubbing off on me and I can shoot something well. I don't know what's going on there, but no, I'm good. It's a weird feeling right now having to worry about traveling for another couple of weeks. It's WrestleMania weekend this weekend, so I'm going to be sitting inside, glued to my TV all weekend long, ready to watch John Cena take home another title. So that's pretty much all I got going on right now. Not a lot, no traveling, just hanging out with some friends, playing maybe once or twice during the week, but just chilling out and relaxing.
Kind of negated yourself. You're like, I'm not leaving this house. I'm golfing for 2 days.
Once
sure.
I'm just doing it once. I'm getting in, getting out as I'm going back
Okay.
home.
Okay,
How
fair enough.
nerdy our lives have become without cornhole. Like Jake's watching WrestleMania. I wish I was watching WrestleMania, but I actually just finished up Star Wars the cartoons yesterday. So
Killing
my
it.
my my quest to complete all the Star Wars movies is like finally underway because 7 seasons of kid cartoons. Man, you want to talk about hard watching?
That's a
Yeah,
commitment. That's a
yeah.
commitment. I'm over here just watching Sex and City reruns and American Idol. So, we all have our thing. But let's get into something a little more exciting, and that is the standings. So we're going to go through our singles standings first. I'll read them off, and then we'll turn it to you guys. But at number 1 right now is, of course, Gabriel Clausen. Tony Smith sitting behind him. He's only 7 points behind, and I know the bonus points mean a lot, so be watching that closely. Matt Guy is at 3rd, and he comes in at 797, and that's tied with Jackson Gore and Gavin Cano. So all 3 of those guys have 797 points. Right behind them, Sammy Soto at 794, Jamie Graham at 791, and then we have 788 for Eric Davis, Trey Birchfield, Austin Waskow, Zach Aiken, and Ryan Trader. All right, Wally, I'll turn it to you first.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting with Gabriel Clausen having that strong finish, not only in singles, but doubles as well. He had a great weekend to start things off. Second place is Tony Smith, and then third is Matt Guy. So if I look at those top 3, excuse me, I'm trying to think of who I'm going to see on broadcast more, who's going to get those bonus points more. And I don't necessarily know if Gabriel Clausen can stay there that long. Tony Smith looks to be in peak form right now. Maybe it is the golf gang. I'm not sure. But even in the last few opens heading into the Signature Series, Tony Smith looked like he finally figured out his throw. Matt Guy, love seeing him back in the top 10, let alone the top 5, sitting at number 3 right now. I messaged him about a half hour ago, and I issued a challenge to him. I said, all right, Matt, you're always doing these airmails, beating 10.5. You're beating ghost 11s with just sliding shots in. I said, I got a challenge for you. You got to beat a ghost 10, but I want you to throw your first and your third bag as a blocker, and I want you to push it in with your second and your fourth bag. So if Matt Guy takes on the challenge and he starts throwing blockers 50% of the time, I would like to see that translate onto the actual courts, and I think he'll have more deep runs going that way.
Did he respond? Did he respond?
He said he'll do it when he has time to practice again. So he's pretty busy. We're trying to put together a veterans tournament in July, so we're kind of in communications there. But going through the top 5, Jackson Gore, he has been on fire since open number 1. Good to see him have another strong finish. I expect him to finish the season in the top 5. And I got to give love to my guy, Gavin Cano. Trey was talking about the top players and MVP races and stuff like that. Gavin Cano is ahead of Jamie Graham in singles. And then doubles, he's what, 3rd, 4th place, something like that? I think you got the standings there. So, yeah, he's in 3rd place in doubles. So Gavin Cano deserves a little bit of love. He had a strong signature number 1, and he's another player that I expect to see on the broadcast quite a bit. Jamie Graham, again, one of the best players in the entire world. I think he is going to continue to have a strong season. Seeing him here in the top 10, it's nothing short of spectacular what he's putting together. Eric Davis is the surprise for me. I didn't really see much out of Eric Davis. He had some strong open finishes and round limited format, but it was kind of a quiet top 10 season for Eric Davis. Granted, it's still early, but I haven't seen enough for him to kind of be like, wow, Eric Davis is on my radar. I'm going to keep an eye out for him. We already know what Zach Aiken and Ryan Trader can do. Austin Waskow, though, he's one of these players that whenever I saw him on the broadcast court for the Texas Bully Baggers, I think it was a couple years ago in Vegas, he looked like he belonged there. And then even the Cody Henderson match that we saw in Des Moines, Iowa, where Cody's trying to get under his skin. Cody's like, oh, I didn't even know who that was. He's like downplaying the skill that Austin Waskow has. So Cody, now you know Austin Waskow is a top 10 player. Keep an eye out for him.
All right, Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so the top 10, it's always interesting, right? But there are a couple of factors that we need to put into this when we look through this top 10, right? First things first, obviously that first signature was round limited. So these next 4, right? These next 4, are going to be classic format, games to 21. So I'm interested to see how the standings shake out a little bit when you kind of get rid of that factor that kind of levels the playing field, so to speak, when it comes to round limited. So I'm curious to see what happens in these next couple of events to see if those standings shake out. I mean, we look at these point totals. Gabe Clausen with 817 total points. 3rd place, Matt Guy, 797. That just goes to show how big of an advantage those bonus points are from winning that whole event. And he's got a 7-point lead on Tony Smith as well. I mean, Gabriel Clausen, man, what a run he had in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, because he's a 1 seed, because he's the number 1 overall seed, I have to assume he's going to have a somewhat easier path to make deep runs in his singles brackets for the remainder of the season. So I wouldn't be surprised if he stays in this top 10 for quite a while. Maybe not in the number 1 spot, but I can definitely see him staying in that top 10 slot for a while. I mean, we look through some of these other players, just looking through here, players that I'm not seeing on there yet. Kind of surprising. Players like Mark Richards. How about Ethan Walker, Alex Rawls, Devin Harbaugh? They're all just short of that top 10 list, which is crazy to think because these are all players who were tied. Those 13 players who were tied for that number 1 spot. That just goes to show you how not well of a performance they had in Fort Lauderdale and what they need to improve upon in Mesa, Arizona these next couple of weeks. And again, we go back to classic format. We kind of get rid of that, that factor. I think they're going to have better performances. I think they're going to be just fine. Other players I'm kind of curious about. How about Riker Wells? He won his bracket. I mean, but he was way past 100th in standings. He's only up to 31st. And he's going to be an 8 seed for that bracket. Still feels a little bit low, so he may still have a tough path in his next singles performance. So you got to keep that in mind when we're picking players in the next couple of weeks. I also want to go by bag company while we have time here. You think about this great run that Lucky Bags has had both on the singles and the double side, but you look through here, we have 4 of the top players that we talked about, sponsored by BG. You got Gabe Clausen, Gavin Cano, Sammy Soto, and Austin Wasco. Then you got 3 Lucky Bags players in that top 12 that we have. We have Zach Aiken, Eric Davis, and Tony Smith. No Mark Richards, but he will be up there eventually. 2 AAR players in Jackson Gore and Jamie Graham. 1 Fire in Matt Guy. 1 Titan in Trey Birchfield. And 1 All Cornhole in Ryan Trader, sneaking up with that 8th spot. Kind of crazy that he's still tied for that 8th spot with that big slump that we've been talking about him having for a couple of months now. It's past the weeks. It's now months that we've been talking about Ryan Trader in this slump, but he's still in that top 12 in single standings. So I mean, credit to Ryan Trader. I think he's going to have a bounce back rest of the season.
Interesting, because I'm a little bit worried, right? Because he maxed out his points at the Opens, which is what put him in that spot. And then I don't know what he finished at national number 1. Obviously not horrible, 788. But I do worry if he can stay up there. He's at number 12 right now. We have that tie at the 8th place. But what's interesting to me is look at the number of juniors, right? So you got Gabe Clausen, Jackson Gore, Sammy Soto, Zach Aiken, and Ryan Trader. If you were to have guessed at the beginning of the season, how many juniors would you have put in that top 12, Wally?
In the top 12, I probably would have guessed to have 6 juniors in there. I would have expected names like Ryan Wiedenfeld to be in there. I guess he's not really a junior anymore. But, the young players basically coming out. Logan Dupler, not on the list. I expected him to be on there after the start that he's had to the season. He's on there for doubles, but the singles has been pretty much Zach Aiken, Logan Dupler, and Sammy Soto and Jackson Gore the entire season. So having a couple others sneak in there is not too shocking. Gabriel Clausen, again, somebody I think I was on last week. Somebody's like, biggest upset in the world. I'm like, nah, he's good. He's been good for a while. So not exactly an upset to me, but the juniors players all season long just continue to do what they've been doing.
Well, and another thing that we got to think about, it was another leveler of the playing field in Fort Lauderdale were those board speeds, right? It kind of took away a lot of these junior players' ability to block and roll. You saw a lot of bag running. I feel as the season progresses, and I think these boards are going to get slower and slower, we're going to see a big emergence of those younger players who rely on those blocks and rolls. So while they may not be up here now, I would be shocked if they're not up there closer towards the 3rd and 4th signature of the season.
Well,
I think the boards are going to be pretty fast in Mesa, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's desert.
Yeah.
It's desert, but speaking about that, Jake, what's it going to take to get a senior and a female in that top 12?
Keep the conditions the way they are, right? I think we're going to talk about it later when we go to higher or lower. But if these board conditions stay fast, it'll allow the player like a Sarah Cassie and Cheyenne Bubenheim, a Damon Dennis and a Frank Modlin and a Steve Schrader to make some good runs in these singles brackets because they don't have to worry about these young rascals blocking and rolling over everything that these seniors throw. So
Something about a guy being born in the 2000s saying Young Rascals just doesn't sit right with me.
Have you even seen The Little Rascals?
I have no idea what that is. No.
Oh,
What is that, a
jeez.
movie? TV show?
Yes, it's a movie. My goodness, Jake. All right, let's get in the doubles. Sitting at number one, no surprise, Mark Richards and Tony Smith. But what might be a surprise is the point difference. So we got them at number one at 1,640 points. Number two, Jamie Graham, Jacob Brzezinski, 1,614 points. What a deficit there. Number three, Sammy Soto and Gavin Cano at 1,600. JBJ and Logan Chamberlain at 1,594. Jordan Power and Cheyenne Bubenheim at 1,582, as well as Ethan Walker, Cody Henderson, and Gabe Clausen and Hayden Gonzalez. Austin Kipple, Logan Dupler at 1,576, Ian Cripps and Jimmy Humans at 1,570, as well as Hunter Thorne and Hunter Thorson. Wally, why don't you kick us off on the doubles side?
Yeah, doubles is a little bit easier to predict now. I admitted fault whenever I said Jordan Power and Cheyenne Bubenheim would not be in the top 25. They have proved me wrong, and I'm willing to admit that I was wrong on that one. Mark and Tony, hopefully Jake is willing to admit he's wrong on that one. But the thing is, Mark and Tony are the hottest players on the planet now. Can they stay there? There are a few hiccups that I saw that might make it a little bit more difficult for them. The one thing that they have going for them, though, is they have the number one seed pretty much for the rest of these signatures. I can't imagine them getting passed up in that regard. So they're going to have an easier path. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I play, I don't want to buy. I don't want to have a buy my first round. I want like an easy matchup. I want to have something that kind of gets me in the groove where I can find a few mistakes in my game and kind of tweak it as I go on. So Mark and Tony put themselves in great position to have deep runs every single tournament going forward. Jamie and Jacob are clicking at the right time. The mentality that Jacob showed, excuse me again, on the broadcast board after he foot fouled is something that's going to stick with me the entire season because he's turned a new leaf on the courts, and I love seeing that out of him because he's too good of a player to revert back to the old Jacob Brzezinski, the hothead, the guy who just fell apart whenever things didn't go his way. I love what I'm seeing out of him. I don't know if that's because of Jamie Graham being his partner on the other side or if he just has faith that it's going to happen. But Jacob Brzezinski and Jamie Graham are a team that could threaten Mark and Tony, but it's going to take a couple of wins to make it happen. JBJ and Logan, good to see them back at the top. Again, Sammy Soto and Gavin Cano. The Texas boys, that is a strong Crew Cup team with those four players right there. But which one of those teams are going to come out of it? How are the brackets going to shake out? Again, I have Sammy Soto and Gavin Cano finishing as the number one team to end the season, but they're going to have their work cut out for them. Kind of sticking with that theme from Meesh earlier, the junior players, Gabriel Clausen, Hayden Gonzalez, and Logan Dupler and Ian Cripps find their way onto this top 10 list. And I got to say, Hayden Gonzalez and Gabriel Clausen were a very, very strong doubles team. I believe they came into the last tournament as a number 2 seed, and they backed it up. So I believe they should be a number 2 seed again going forward. Teams that I don't see on this list that are pretty shocking to me, Devin Harbaugh and Jeremiah Ellis. We talked in the offseason about these super teams. Where are they at? I don't think they had the finish that they were looking for. Just kind of looking at body language from signature number 1. Devin Harbaugh and Jeremiah Ellis look loose. Devin Harbaugh looks like he's pressing a little bit. I don't think he really had that much fun at the signature event. I would have liked to see him throwing off on the boards, either by himself, trying to get his mind right or something. Maybe he was doing that, but I just missed it. Adam Hisner and Trey Birchfield, they're world champions. I don't see them in the top 10. So are they going to climb back in? With the point system the way it is, it's going to be hard to climb, not just in the top 10, but if you look at 9th place with Hunter and Hunter there at 1570, to be able to climb all the way to the top and leapfrog Mark and Tony, that's 70-point difference. We're talking about you might have to win 2 signatures just to get into the top 10 and then climb up to number 1 contention. That also depends on what Mark and Tony do going forward. I am pleased to see Ian Cripps and Jimmy Humans on this list. They're on my fantasy team, so that's a great start for them. And then Ethan Walker and Cody Henderson, they were a team that I got a lot of slack for, putting them in my top 25. I just really loved what I saw of them in Des Moines because they shot really, really well, and they had, mental hiccups. When you call a timeout and your partner says, do you want any advice? And he just says, nope. Like it's hard for me to get that conversation, that picture out of my head. But what I saw at them at signature number 1 now is that they are actually communicating through these shots. They're talking it out. They're going through different situations and what could happen and why it could happen and what we want to do, in round limited format. So if they continue to improve on the conversation going forward, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape. But one team that I don't see in the top 10 and I did not have on my top 25, or actually I think I had them lower on my top 25 than they expected, and I got a lot of grief for it, was Braden Wilson and AJ Sims. So I've been seeing some pretty good clips from Braden Wilson. Looks like he's throwing pretty well. AJ Sims, his airmail's been elite, but I'm going to call you guys out like you guys called me out. If you don't get in the top 10 at the end of signature number 2, you can't at me ever again.
Wow. Strong, Wally. I will say, you guys know I had a lot of opinions about Ethan Walker and Cody Henderson. I agree with you, Wally. I did see a different level of communication at signature number 1. Happy to see that. And how quiet are Ian Cripps and Jimmy Humans, Jake?
I mean, they're super quiet, right? I mean, it's a team that it's kind of confusing, right? Because it's a team that on paper you can see them either being a top 10 team or you can see them, nobody really talking about them, right? And that's kind of what's happening, right? They've just been quietly creeping their way up the list, and they had a fantastic run at the first signature. And I think they're here to stay. I love the team. I love the chemistry. It's kind of like a mentor taking in his mentee, teaching him the ropes. So, I mean, and they're both respectable. They're both great guys to talk to. So I love the team. I think they're going to be great. When we talk about other doubles teams, I'll start back at the top with Mark and Tony. I mean, and I hate to agree with Wally on something, but I mean, he said it perfectly. He said it perfectly. This was way easier to predict than the pro single standings. I mean, you look at these top 4 teams, and we'll start with Mark and Tony, Mark Richards, Tony Smith. I mean, it almost feels like their lead. I know it's almost an insurmountable lead, but it feels like their points lead should be bigger, right? Obviously, we know they maxed out, but they have not, and I say it every time, and I will continue to say it until they lose. They have not lost a doubles bracket together since January. It is now April. They have won 4 consecutive events, Wally and Michelle. They're the best team on the planet, and I think a win – I think they're already one of the best teams of all time, but I think a win in Arizona will solidify them as the best doubles cornhole team of all time, and you can argue with a brick wall on that one. There's not a ton of surprises on the rest of the list, especially within the top 4, and I think that the top 4 with Jamie Graham, Jacob Trzynski, Sammy Soto, Gavin Cano, JBJ, and Logan Chamberlain are the 4 best doubles teams in the country right now. Could you make a case for a Jordan Power and a Cheyenne Bubenheim? Absolutely. Could you make a case for an Ethan Walker or Cody Henderson or a Gabe Clausen and a Hayden Gonzalez? You absolutely can. Some could say that Gabe and Hayden should have won their doubles bracket, but I guess a little bit of a choke at the very end gave it to Gavin and Sammy. But, I mean, I'm just looking through this list because how it's going to play out is that Mark, Tony, Jamie and Jake, Jamie and Gavin, JBJ and Logan are all going to be 1 seeds. They're all going to be in different brackets. And I have a very hard time believing that these 4 teams won't win their bracket again. I could very easily see it happening, see it being chalk and watching the exact same Final 4 in Mesa, Arizona. Now, are there some teams that I think could make some big runs? Absolutely. Like Wally mentioned, you look through this list, how about Devin and Jeremiah sitting at 18th in the world right now? I don't think they're going to stay there for the rest of the season. We look further down the list. We got Adam Hister and Trey Birchfield, 26th in pro double standings right now. The current world champions, they're not going to stay down there for very long. How about a team like Colby Shearer and Matt Wilson? A team that we talked about a lot before the season had started. They're 22nd in the world right now. Jalen Jones, Isidro Herrera. Isidro continues to have some of the best PPRs in the pro division. They're sitting at 26th in the world right now as well. I mean, we look through, how about another a Texas, Louisiana team in Levi Haddock and Bryce Forbes? They've had some strong runs at opens this season. I expect them to have at least one decent run at a signature. But again, you just go back to these top 4. I don't see anybody beating them right now. Either of these four teams. Jamie and Jake looked fantastic. They were just a couple of unlucky shots away from being Signature One champions and dethroning Mark and Tony. So I don't see them dropping at all. I don't see Sammy and Gavin losing at all. I don't see JBJ and Logan losing at all. I do, however, see Austin and Logan Dupler and Hunter Thorne and Hunter Thorson falling down just a little bit as well. And again, it goes back to what I said in the pro single stuff. We level this playing field. We get rid of the round limited, right? We level this playing field. We play these games at 21. They're going to be longer. It's going to take more to beat these good teams, right? So, I mean, as it stands right now, I think this top four is solidified. I think it is strong. I don't see anybody coming close to beating them, at least not for the second Signature in Mesa, Arizona.
I think we say this every year. We look at the top teams and we say nobody can beat them. I remember 2 seasons ago, we're like, nobody's going to beat Matt Guy. It's never going to happen. He's too good. No one's going to beat him. He's on fire. And it never happens, right? It's always some sneaky person that comes in, round limited or not, in either singles or doubles. But I will say, as this list shows, that our doubles at Signature number 1 was pretty much chalk. And so it is going to be interesting to see if that happens again, because that would be not common in our history in terms of who's making it to the finals. So yeah. I think you're right.
And we always talk about how, nobody's ever going to beat this guy. Nobody's going to beat Matt Guy. But we're saying this right now with Mark and Tony, as literally nobody has beaten them since the start of the year, pretty much, right? So until somebody does beat them, I'm going to continue to say it. Nobody can beat Mark and Tony. They have not lost in almost 5 events now.
What is it going to take, Wally? How do you beat Mark and Tony?
I mean, I think you just have to let Mark and Tony beat themselves. I mean, right now, Mark is playing a very controlled game. He's not taking these risky roll shots, and they're only risky because he hasn't been doing it for that long. So now he's going back to the blocking, playing a strategic game, shooting the air mills whenever the piles get a little bit too messy in front of the board. And he still does have the roll bag that he can break out at random times. But if they're off a little bit with their air mills or their rolls or these cuts, because Tony is one of these players that will, land on the right side of the board and cut that bag in the 3 o'clock position, as Anthony would say. If the board conditions don't match that style of play, so for example, they played a little bit fast in Florida. I think they got away with a couple games. In Arizona, I expect them to be fast again. But if the board conditions don't match where they're cutting or, shooting their air mails, then I think that they're going to beat themselves. And you kind of just have to pick your spots. The only problem is, like Jake said, now we go to 21. So that's going to give Mark and Tony maybe 3 or 4 extra mistakes that they can make. And right now, they're the most consistent team. So if you're going to beat them, you have to be more consistent.
That's what I'm saying. You put me and Wally on the court against Mark and Tony in a round limited game. I'm not saying we're going to beat them, but I'm saying in a round limited game we have a much better chance of beating them than we do in a game to 21, without a doubt. We can get lucky.
Yeah, you can definitely get lucky, and I'll say Mark is relentless, right? That's the hardest part about playing Mark, is he just is so consistent, and you get gassed out. Like, you're just like, how many rounds are we going to go? And he's fine; he can keep going.
So I've been playing quite a bit lately, and I think I saw who I would be if I were to take cornhole seriously again as a player, and I'd be the villain. I was out there talking more trash. I don't care that this kid was 9 years old. I was talking so much trash to him. He front boarded, he side railed, and then his partner was a senior, and he side railed and kept missing off the back. And we were down 18-3, and we came all the way back and won. So if I were to get back into cornhole, my trash talk game would be through the roof. Jordan Powers, step aside. I got you. But it's not going to work on a player like Mark Richards. So Mark is just going to be calm, cool, and collected. He might say something to you after he's like, back in round 13, you almost had me crack or something like that. But he's not going to do anything during the game. He's so calm, and he said he has been taking on that mentor role to Tony, and it seems to be working a little bit. Tony looks calm on the court now too.
And real quick before we move on, Meesh, one more thing. A couple of teams that I'm looking, and I had to scroll really far to find that I think are going to make big runs now that we're back to 21. 2 teams I'm looking at really quick. Number 1, Zach Scheibner, Gage Landis, currently the 42nd team in the world right now. Now that we're done with round limited, they won a national last year. I expect them to make good runs. Ryan Windsor, Nico Morales, 41st in pro double standings right now. Again, a team that may not be as comfortable with round limited as others. We go back to 21. I would be shocked if they don't make a deep run in their bracket as well. The only hindering factor is that because they are so low in these standings, they are going to have lower seeds in the bracket and will have to face tougher teams earlier.
But keep in mind, we didn't see Ryan and Ryan either because Ryan was at prom. So Ryan Wiedenfeld and Ryan Smith, another team that's usually in the top 10.
Yes, absolutely. So we say all these things about Mark Tony and the top 4, but there are a lot of teams that are going to have lower seeds playing spoiler in the first couple rounds of pro doubles in Mesa, Arizona.
Absolutely. All right, let's move into our top 10. We're going to kick it off with Deb Odom. I didn't get to see this because this was on your guys' court. Wally and I just heard the chaos, but Wally always talks about how you want to get that Deb. There it is. Yep. There's the point. I don't know if she does it here, but let's find out.
Gosh, unless she's feeling aggressive. And she goes for it again and hits the and one. Deb Odom. What a shot.
We got it. We got a little bit of that point. I feel bad for her having to do it to my guy, Mike Hoffman. But, hey, recognize game. You got to recognize game. That was a great shot. Love me some Deb Odom highlights.
Hoffman looked like he knew it was coming, too. He's looking at the sky. He's like, oh, man, I'm about to get and one by Deb. And the entire crowd is going to be behind her.
He made eye contact with me a couple times during that game because he was so nervous and he was not good on that live stream court. But poor Mike Hoffman.
How romantic.
All right, number 9, Jay Rubin with a 2-bag drag.
Say that's not because someone's throwing fantastic.
Boom, big hit, 3 bags, 1 shot. Jay Rubin putting Jimmy Humans to the test.
There he is. That was like
big hit.
That was what
I was going to say, dude, it's so hard for me to go into the play-by-play mode because I'm used to waiting for you to do the reaction. So I was like, oh, wait, this is my spot. I'm supposed to be the one who's making the call here. But, yeah, Jay Rubin, man. Air Rubin is back. Doesn't look like he missed a beat. I believe Jimmy Humans went on to hit that drag right afterwards, too. So I like to see the risk taken from Jay Rubin. He's not afraid.
Definitely not. Number 8, Austin Waskow with the Penguin.
And rolling over. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Big shot for Austin Waskow.
It's one of those shots where I wish we could get rid of that score bug so you couldn't see that they were down 9 points in the second to last round. It kind of takes away from that shot, but it was still an incredible shot, right? A Penguin slick side down. You get that bag on the board up and over. Brett Guy's blocking into the hole. Good shot. Just a little too late for Waskow.
Number 7, Frank Verona with an airmail drag to force overtime.
And now we got a drag opportunity. Airmail here from Frankie Loafers.
Gotta get this.
Bag is away. Bag is down, and he gets the trip.
A shot from Frankie Loafers. You see how low he got there? He might be a limbo champ, man. He got all the way down. I like this Frankie Verona Riker Wells team because this is showing a little bit of the personality of Frankie Loafers. He's having some fun, and if anybody's going to bring out the fun in your game, it's going to be Riker Wells.
Verona and Wells, 16th in pro double standings. Look out for them.
Yeah. Number 6, Logan Dupler with a bar soap.
Sits on top. That is a bar of soap waiting to happen. Dupler gets it. Big bar of soap for Logan Dupler to get.
Finally, Logan Dupler gets credit for a top 10 shot. Oh, my goodness. He has been begging for a clip. He already clipped it from the ACL's post and posted on his account saying, thank God I finally got a clip. That was a well-worth shot for Logan Dupler. You can stop complaining about how you don't have a top 10 clip anymore.
So I got to say, if Logan Dupler wants more clips, 1, hit shots like that, and 2, give us some expression.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was nothing after he hit that bar.
I mean, that was another thing. He was down 11-3 with 2 rounds to go. I mean, it is what it is, but good shot.
Let it be known that I hit a bar of soap at Corey's house in the backyard when it doesn't matter. Just thought I'd throw that out there. All right. Number 5, Zach Aiken, collect to stay alive and force overtime.
Still going to go after. This is such a tough shot, especially with how fast the boards are. Not as much friction. Oh my
goodness, what a pickup.
He made it look so easy, Zach Aiken.
This was nuts because it wasn't actually to force overtime. That was in overtime. That was the first overtime round.
In overtime. Okay.
He needed to get that because Tony Smith wasn't going to miss. He needed to get that to stay in the game. Anthony and I both thought it was going to take multiple attempts, and he just steps out and gets rid of it in one go. Incredible shot. Just impeccable.
Number 4, Alex Rawls with a 4-bag rodeo.
Fall as the bag's working its way over the roll so the hole's clear.
Oh, my goodness! Get the heck out of here, Alex Rawls. He gets them all for a 4th spot.
That's a lot of bags.
Dirty. That was dirty. All 4 bags. I wish I could do that. Line drive, land right on the front, and just have them glide into the hole. That was vintage Alex Rawls right there.
Elizabeth Tennyson at number 3 with a 3-bag drag.
So time will tell if that was a good decision for either one of those players, if they took off enough speed, if they still have enough speed to get the job done.
Oh, and a big shot by Elizabeth Tennyson right away. Knocks the pile in.
Big shots right out of the gate, and you could already see some blocks getting laid in front.
Tennyson, she's done it on the big stage before. She is no stranger to shooting big airmails on a live feed court, and getting her clips. So shout out to her.
The rare airmail that gets all 4 of your bags, including the one in your hand. As soon as I saw, because we were sitting there watching it, Wally. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "That's a top 10 clip right there. That's incredible."
Top 3, actually. All right. Number 2, Matt Guy with a 2-bag drag.
He's going to shoot this.
Do you?
No, it's Matt Guy. You have to go slick side up the left. If he shoots this, I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
Oh, my God.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, when he gets them all, what a bag for Matt Guy. Oh, my word. Anthony Ione is leaving the building, and he's got 6. And look at him. He's fired up.
Did he leave? Did Anthony leave?
He tried to. I tell you what, Matt Guy, the most fired up I've seen that man in literal years. Is it the right shot selection? Absolutely not. You don't shoot that airmail, but Matt Guy does, and he nailed it.
Well, not only that, but the excitement level there kind of put a little bit of pressure on Jamie to hit that last bag, and you saw he missed it. So, I mean, the fired up level, Jamie misses, give him 6. Risk taker.
Take note. It's crazy that's not number 1. So there was something apparently even better, and that's Jamie Graham at number 1 with a crazy cut push, is what Corey wrote. So here we go.
Decision made on the way. What a shot for Jamie Graham early.
Oh my goodness, Jeff. What? Of all the bags, a little bit of a cut action splits those bags and takes it in.
Multiple things here. Sorry, Jay. Multiple things here. This came after what? 2 back-to-back 45-second timeouts or something. He just kept flipping his bag, and I'm like, all right, if you shoot an airmail here, I'm going to be pretty disappointed because, you know, it was a pretty simple airmail situation or maybe just push through. But there was no way I saw him using that back bag on the right as a bumper to help redirect. Meanwhile, the bag on the front stays there. It's remarkable.
I mean, I watched it because I was actually playing a sit and go when that match was live, so I had it on my phone and I was holding the bag. As soon as he hit it, I dropped my bags. I was like, "What did he just do?" It was nuts. I mean, well deserving of that number 1 spot. Great shot.
Meesh in the background.
Yep, I was in that clip, so I did see that. I didn't know we were talking about that one. I thought it was in the live stream court. So yes, that wasn't a phenomenal shot. Jeremiah was fired up too, right behind, watching that. Close by. All right, let's get into high or low. I will read a name and a ranking, and you guys tell me if you think they're going to finish higher or lower than their current rankings. And we're going to go that higher is like higher in number. So if it was number 5, you say higher, then you think they're going to finish at 10 or whatever. Does that make sense?
Okay, so lower is best.
Lower is best. There you go. All right, Damon Dennis, Wally, at number 16.
All right, so Damon Dennis finished 4th in his bracket. So if you multiply that out, and it's pretty much I'm going to do all these. 4 times 4 is 16. That's right where he should be. But I think there's something about Damon Dennis. It's really hard to get that final point. His pacing controls the game. I'm going to say lower than 16 for Damon Dennis.
Wow. Okay. Jake?
So just to so we're going lower means that they finish better than 16th, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I wrote those backwards then. We mentioned that the boards we think are going to continue to be fast in Mesa, Arizona, but I predict that as the season progresses, the boards will continue to slow down, and that's where Damon Dennis will begin to struggle a little bit, just a little bit, but it's enough to make me think that he will not be able to keep up with this current ranking. So I'm going to go higher for Damon Dennis.
Spencer Fabianar at number 22, Wally.
Spencer, I think, tries a little bit too many risky shots for me to keep him that high. I'm going to say that he's going to finish higher than 22nd unless he can control his game a little bit more.
Jake?
Now, do I think that he can get hot and have a strong finish at one of these signatures? Absolutely. I'm almost going to guarantee he will have a top 5 finish at one of these signatures. Do I think he can do it for the entire rest of the season? I do not, because of the exact same reasons that Wally just gave. He does too much crazy stuff, not enough conservative stuff. So I'm going to have to go higher for Spencer as well.
That tends to be like a typical progression of these young players, huh?
Yes.
Like we saw it with a lot of Ethan Walker, Tony Smith,
TikTok happy.
Eric Davis. Yeah. All right. Okay. Sam Finley at 74, Wally.
2 weeks ago, definitely going lower. Right now, it's hard to get that 35th in your bracket out of my head. So I'm going to say that she's going to finish higher, I think is where we're going.
Yeah, worse. So she's obviously not going to have a great seed. So
wow, no credit to
it's going to be a tough run for her, man. Finishing that low in the bracket, getting a tough route.
But I feel like all it's going to take is one good run to get her out of that, and then she'll be good to go. I wrote lower. I mean, I just think she's one of the best females on the face of the planet right now. I mean, I think she can get hot once. That's all it takes. She got hot and literally won an interstate tournament that had multiple top 10 ACL pros in the field. That's all it takes. Give me that lower once. That's all it needs.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but is it how many of the singles go through to pro next season? Is it top 25?
24. Oh, off the top of my head. I know 24 qualify for the World Championships.
Okay.
And I believe it's maybe 24 or 32 for pro next year.
Okay.
Michael.
Just wondering where that cutoff is as we're looking at some of these numbers, right? Because this is going to really play into our next season. All right, let's move on to doubles. We got Jay Rubin and Ryan Trader sitting at number 18, Wally.
I'm going to go that they finish higher, which is better, right? I'm already confused.
No, lower. Lower is better.
Lower, better. Okay, I'm going to go lower.
I was going to say.
This needs to be better or worse, Meesh. Change it to better or worse. I'm going to go that they finish lower. I feel like I like what I saw out of Ryan Trader again, coming over to us, telling us that he's wanting to be on the live feed courts. We saw him in Brighton, Michigan throw basically a perfect game until he realized Jake was good. And I talked to him a little bit about that. And I think that the mental game from Ryan Trader is back where it needs to be. And Jay Rubin, we saw in the top 10 shot right there. He's not afraid to take the risk, which puts him back where he needs to be as well.
Jake?
I was getting ready to say, you're the biggest Ryan Trader advocate I know. You think they're going to finish worse, but no, I'm on the same boat with you. We're still talking about his slump. I think as these bigger tournaments come about, he's going to progressively get better and better. I'm not saying they're going to mess around and win one of these things, but I think their finishers are going to improve. In Mesa, and then we go to Colorado and then to Texas. So I think they're going to consistently improve, and I'll say lower for them as well.
Would that be an upset if they win?
I'm not going to say yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to say no.
Okay, so cool. All right, Jordan Kamba.
Back to you, Bob.
Eric Zockline at 32, Wally.
I'm going to say higher. Something about Jordan and Easy. I love the guys, but I look at them in the bracket and I always see them going like 2-2. I don't see them going on deep runs in the brackets right now. I haven't had a chance to watch Easy, but I know that whenever he was at his best, he was telling me he's at his best. He was always coming over and saying, yeah, I threw like a 10-something PPR. I'm throwing pretty well. I haven't heard that yet. And
he told me that.
He
told me that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he said it's going to be really hard to make pro next season. I'm throwing really, really well, and I'm still losing. That's what he told me.
Good. That's good. I love to hear that. But 15th in the bracket again. I multiply that out 15 times 4. That's 60. So 32. A little high.
All right, Jake.
I said lower. I like this team a lot. You know, we've only seen them in one event so far this season, and they were a little lackluster, of course. But I mean, it's another one of those things where they just got to get more chemistry together, more tournaments under their belt. We're not going to click right away at this first signature, but they'll work on their chemistry in the second and the third signature. But I think by the fourth, fifth, and maybe even the sixth signature at the end of the season, I think they could very easily be a top 15 team. So I'm going to say lower for them.
I mean, they're going to go golfing quite a bit together, so maybe
Exactly.
I like
Tony
that.
Smith will put them lower.
Come on.
There we go. That's the secret. Eddie Grindersleeve and Dylan Turpin at 39.
13th in the bracket times 4. I would like to say that they're going to do better, but I'm going to have to put them higher. Again, I have to see it first to believe it. On paper, we all look at this team and we're like, I like this pairing. It should work. But I haven't seen anything where I'm like, it's working, it's clicking, you know. So again, this is another team that I kind of put there going 2-2, maybe 3-2 in brackets. I want to see a deep run out of them before I buy into it.
Jake?
I'm going to go lower again. This is one of my big sleeper teams at the start of the year. I love the pairing. Eddie Grindersleeve, 2 years ago, he literally won back-to-back nationals and the world championships, right? And then Dylan Turpin is a top 30, 35 player in the world and has come up so close to making broadcasts on multiple different occasions. And it's another thing, just like Easy and Jordan Kamba, they're going to work on that chemistry. They're close. They're not only pro doubles partners, but they're also on the same pro team. They live somewhat near each other in the same area in Texas and Oklahoma. I think they're going to get a lot of, practicing together. I love this team, and I'm going to go lower for them.
All right. Time for hot takes. You got one ready, Wally?
Yeah, I'm going to say that Riker Wells will be on the broadcast more than Logan Dupler this season.
Whoa. Riker Wells seemed shocked to be on the broadcast. Does he know about this?
He does not.
Okay, just wondering. All right, Jake, what do you got?
So I'll go with my predictions because I won't be on here again until after the second signature. So I'll go predictions in pro singles. Man, give me Mark Richards. And in pro doubles, I think it goes completely chalk again. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 win their brackets. I think Mark and Tony beat JBJ and Logan in the semifinals. I think Jamie Graham and Jacob Trzynski beat Sammy Soto and Gavin Cano in their semifinal, and give me Mark and Tony to go again and solidify them as the best doubles team of all time in ACL history.
That's boring.
Needs to end the show.
Boring. All right. I think this is hot. You guys say mine are never hot. But in terms of where they're at now, I think Jeremiah Ellis and Devin Harbaugh finish in the top 5 this season.
I don't think either one of those are hot. You both stuck your hot takes in the microwave for 5 seconds. Get out of here.
Okay, fine. I mean, currently that doesn't seem like that likely, right? I mean,
fine. We have seconds. New one. I think that I beat Wally 4-3 in our best of 7 series that we have with these signatures. That's a hot take because Wally's going to actually win 2 more games. That's the hot take right there. And
I don't see the Apex Serpents are money for me right now. You don't stand a chance.
Okay, well, there you have it. That's all we got time for. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.